record on this computer. Let's go to Humble Bundle. Aiden, give me a month. Any month but June. Any month but June. February. Okay. February. Ooh, we have lots of choices remaining here. Okay. Let's see. Okay, a kind of you got a choice. A building sim, or nobody has ever chosen one of the building sims that I have offered. Or let's see. Oh, building sim. Let's read you the. It says indie simulation. The other one, action adventure indie RPG simulation. Looks like survival game. One of those survival games. What's it gonna be? Building sim or survival sim? Building sim. Okay, send me an email. Wherever you want the code to be sent, it'll be coming from Humble Bundle. Just put it here in the chat, an email address. Don't send me an actual email. Just put an email address in the chat. I know this is all very interesting for everybody else. Okay. He's trying to figure out his own email address. Hi, everybody. It seems like the class is shrinking. Oh, no. We're past the halfway point as of yesterday, I think. Okay, here's Aiden. Okay. Copy. I am going to choose this and gift to a friend, send an email, Control V, send email. I have gifted you a copy of Train Station Renovation. Welcome to an old ruined train station, a place that will give you a lot of fun. Play as a renovation company specialized in restoring railway stations. The game is set in abandoned and destroyed train stations. You will start with small rural ones to ease in and eventually be challenged with sprawling train stations in metropolitan areas. So there you go. Who knew train station renovation could be a wonderful game? It is. Train station renovation. Here we are. Okay, so class size has shrunk. Please spread the word that on Thursday, so from here on out, we're going to be talking about and making an alternate reality game. That is all 25 people in this class. You'll be part of. I'm going to sneeze. Okay, I'm better. You'll be part of a team with it. So it's one whole team. All 25 of you are going to make one game. None of these 5-person teams, 5 games come out of it. It's just one game. So 5 of you will be writers. 5 of you will be. Actually, let's go through it. Let me find. find the organizational thing and I'll show you how we're going to organize this. So storytelling, there we are, storytelling. And let's get 1002, where's 2020? ARG organization. Huh. I don't have it here. I have 2019, but I don't have 2020. Where's, oh, there it is. No, those are the achievements. ARG org. I changed it to something else. Okay. Sheet one. Okay. So, is this how I did it? Seems sparse. Let's go to 2019 and see what I did there. Yeah, okay. Okay, well, that's what I did. Okay, so let's kill off some names. And file, save as ARG org 2021. Okay, so let's share this. Share screen. Sure. Okay. So we're not going to do this today, but we will do it on Thursday. We're doing, do I want to call that recruiting? I was going to call it community management. I think that's a better name for what it is. Okay, so first off, produce. So you see, this is basically, well, it's a spreadsheet. We have 5 categories: producers, writers, artists, gameplay, let's say gameplay designers. I don't know why. Well, probably because it's long. Gameplay designers and tech. I was probably doing this in a rush. And then we have a lead for each of these jobs. And then we have areas of responsibility. So we'll have the sidekick writer, the sidekick artist, the gameplay design, sidekick gameplay, sidekick tech, and so we'll have 4 characters in our ARG: a sidekick, a mentor, a goddess, and a villain. You'll notice that there is no hero, right? And coming off our hero's journey, story, which I have to talk about. Why don't we have heroes in the ARG?
Is the player the hero?
Yes, exactly. So we are not going to write heroes. We are going to let the player write the hero, and the players as a group are the heroes. And some days a hero will be our hero. Our hero will be a person, a college person from WPI, who's in the dorm somewhere, and other days it may be a single mother in Wyoming. I don't know, because basically what you'll see is that the people who are playing are going to change over time. So getting back, oh, I got to share screen again. Share screen. Share. Um, so this would lead to a 5x5 grid of 5 producers, 5 writers, 5 artists, 5 gameplay designers, and 5 tech. We're not going to do that because what I've found is that 5 producers are basically 3 producers too many. In that what was happening was the lead producer would have tons of stuff to do, and the individual producers would have very little to do. So what we're going to do is, instead of 1 lead and 4 character producers, we're going to have 2 co-leads. So essentially, 2 people are going to make sure the game gets done on time and to spec. That's what a producer does. And I can actually I can show a little video about it, but I'm not gonna do it today. What I found is that with 1 lead producer, that's a lot to put on someone's shoulders. And some years it was great because they're like, hey, I'm a senior. I've already finished my MQP. I'm doing this for fun. I think this is really fun, and I got nothing else to dedicate my time to but this. And so I will be the lead producer, and it'll be great. And they did great, and things got done. Other times, people were like, "Oh my God, this is a lot of work, and I've got other things to do." And and they basically buckled under the pressure. In fact, one year, um, the lead producer on one of the ARGs ghosted. They just stopped coming to class, which, you know, in any normal class, that happens. People make strategic decisions about passing certain courses and NRing others. Um, but you don't lead the entire class on a 3-week project, or is it 3.5-week project, if you're going to ghost, right? So this way, with 2 co-leads, you can split up the work, and no one gets crushed, and no one if somebody, well, it's the old, somebody hits the lottery and moves to Bermuda, um, which I don't think you can even do currently, then we still have 1 other person to pick up the slack. So what happens to those other 3 producers? We put them over here in community management. You notice this is not character based. Community management there are 2 jobs there. One is to organize people playing the other ARG. So 4 p.m. is also going to make an ARG. 4 p.m. is going to have it all ready at the same time you do. And you get to play their ARG, and you get, I believe it's 10 points. I don't know. Let me look. Assignments. Make an ARG play reports. Okay, you're gonna have to everybody has to play at least one day of the other ARG, and make her fill out a report. I have a form for you to fill out, at which point you will get your 10 points, much like playing D&D. Um, back to this. Sorry if that futzed out for you. So that's the one thing. The other thing is to basically what community managers do for any game is they manage the community who is playing. So they first they drum up interest, then they talk to them, they guide them, um, they address their concerns, um, and we're going to talk about the needs of the ARGs in terms of safety. So, for instance, um, you are going to have to put up a web page somewhere that is basically your disclaimer page that basically says everything contained in this story is fiction. Any um, resemblance to real people living or dead is coincidence. There are no ghosts. There are no UFOs. Um, it is a work of fiction. If you have any questions, contact this email, this phone number, what have you. Um, that would lead to a community manager where basically, in the past, we've had people who are like, my son is involved in a cult. Well, no, he's not. He's playing a game. It's fine. Don't worry about it. And we'll reach out to him to make sure he knows that it's not real. So that's kind of what the community manager does, both organize you guys to play the other game and helps the player help all the players uh, play the game and monitor where they are and see if they're stuck and let the developers know that, hey, maybe characters could give hints here, that sort of thing. um Producers, so with 25 people, uh, uh with a game that lasts over the course of a week, there are going to be lots of dependencies. And a dependency, in case you haven't run into that term before, is basically when uh someone is waiting for someone else to deliver some work. So what we often get is uh, artists saying, "I'm I'm sitting here, I'm ready to make whatever, um, but the gameplay designers have this puzzle that they've told me about, but they haven't told me exactly what they need. So I'm waiting to hear what the gameplay designers need." And the gameplay designers are they're like, well, we have this idea for a puzzle, but we're waiting to hear from the writers about exactly which day it's supposed to happen and the characters that are supposed to be part of it. And the writers are confused, something like that. Um, or they're furiously writing other things, and they didn't realize that the gameplay designers were waiting on them and the artists were waiting on the gameplay designers. So the producer is the one who says, look, you've got this backup here, could you write this thing first, and then get to the other stuff, see how that works out. um, and you want to address, well, first identify dependencies, second uh, figure out a workflow. um, uh, what I just saw, um, what's the oh uh I saw it, like somebody put up their DMs, um, and it was, "Hey, do you want to play a game, or do you want to make a game where I'm a wizard and you're a cat, and uh, we do sexy things together?" And the other person is like, "Yes," and the first person is like, "Great, I'll set up a Trello board." Right, that's game development, um where where it's not really um uh fun and sexy times, it's actually making a game, right? So uh figuring out what all the tasks you have to do, who's doing them, when they're going to be done, um, and who's stalled and has time to work. That is what producers do. Writers, uh, lead writer. Um, Lead writer coordinates all the other writers, right? Together, you've got kind of a writer's room, right? And you should work together to basically come up with your story, the story of what the problem is, what the obstacle is, who the characters are, and basically every arg ever starts with someone who needs some help and asks the internet for help. Um, that someone is generally a just another internet person who basically says, "Hey, I'm having this problem, or I found this weird thing. Has anybody ever seen this?" Right, and then crowdsourcing. Um, so the writers have basically two phases of their job. First is to outline and write the entire um, story, which is basically, okay, this is a story about um, getting ET to go home, right? So on so we know the story of ET, right? There's a little alien friend of children. Children hide him until they can figure out a way to get him back to his mothership. Um, and then, and meanwhile, big evil government is looking for aliens to experiment on. So we've got kind of uh, two antagonists. One are parents and adults in general, and two, the evil government people. Um, so, what happens on day one? Well, we meet ET, we discover his powers. What happens on day two? Uh, 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 Government people come sniffing around. We meet government people, and they they are testing us to see if we've seen ET. Um, uh, what do we do on day three? We seek out help from our kindly teacher. I'm making this up. Um, and our kindly teacher teaches us how to decode ET's dots and dashes so that we get a location where we have to bring him. What do we do on day four? We begin a journey to bring ET to his mothership and avoid the evil um, government. What do we do on but we get captured, he gets captured. What do we do on day six or day five, I forget? We break him out, we infiltrate the government base, and we break ET out and get him to his mothership, or we fail and other things happen, right? Because that's always a possibility, because this is more like D&D, where the players dictate kind of what happens, right? We have a framework, but within that framework, we should be um, flexible. artists. So why do I give one writer the sidekick, one writer the mentor, one writer the goddess? Well, all of these people have what we call digital footprints. So just like you have, I don't know, a Twitter account, a Facebook, uh, a, what do you call it? The now I can't think. The little movie thing. Stop share. What's the little movie thing? Someone help me out. No? The little movie thing starts with a T. No. TikTok. Thank you. You have a TikTok. You might have a YouTube channel. You might be a broadcaster on Twitch. Uh, does that define you? To a certain extent, you have your online presence, and I can find out about you from your online presence. Um, so if I Google you, what do I come up with? Most of you are young enough that not much, right? Um, uh, I'm sure there are ways to narrow down the Google, but it's fine if not much comes up for these characters. Uh, but you know, what if what if there what is the difference between a digital footprint of an old person to a young person? um uh is somebody still holding on to their MySpace account? What does that tell us about somebody whose primary way of interacting with the internet is their MySpace account? That tells us something, right? um what if uh they still have a um, live journal? I don't know. Can you still have a live journal? Um, right. That tells us something about them. What if their main um, way is of interacting with people is on Tumblr? There are lots of people still on Tumblr, although when they outlawed uh, uh, adult stuff, they lost a lot of people, right? I don't know. That's what I heard. Your writers are going to have to write all the stuff that people write on the internet for fictional. The Blue Hell site is very much alive. Um, okay, live journal, I guess that is. Um, but it's alive for a certain type of person, right? As soon as you say, hey, check out my live journal, I know something about you, right? um so I like what what was for critical studies, I had everybody submit uh uh criticism through Blogger, right? uh It's what people on Tumblr call Tumblr, despite the fact that there are other blue websites more deserving of the title. Oh, okay, so that's Tumblr. I don't know. I think of Tumblr as orange just because I set up a very quick Tumblr site for an ARG and I made it orange. So that's what everything looks like to me. Uh, um, so anyway, so you've got to write all these things, as well as kind of a backstory Bible for everybody to know who this person is and how they'd react, so that when they interact with people online, everybody's on the same page. Artists, um, artists do everything that writers do and more, just visually, I guess. Um, that's a way of putting it. Artists were every time um, somebody has a photo that they put up, um, they can. You're going to need an artist, um, and I don't want to limit artists to just visual artists. Over the years, we have had amazing artists who have nothing to do with visuals. We have had people who are great filmmakers make YouTube videos. We've had ARGs almost entirely based around YouTube. Um, we've had sound mixers um, making all sorts of soundscapes that uh, were parts of puzzles. We've had um, kind of maker people, right? Um, where one year they got a visual artist to draw a thing, and then one of the other artists took it to Washburn Labs and laser etched it into a piece of fiberglass, and then cut it up like a jigsaw puzzle and hid the pieces all over campus. Um, so, uh, just as art isn't just visual art, I mean, art is a bunch of things. Um, your artists can have different specializations rather than just drawing. Um, one year they made uh, um, ball caps, and um, they didn't have time to basically submit a design to one of the ball cap making places and get it printed and get it sent back. So they ordered very quickly a bunch of white ball caps, and then an actual visual designer painted the logo on each uh, cap individually. So that was cool. So there are all sorts of things. I've got all sorts of things both in here from previous ARGs and in my office at school from previous ARGs. So uh, um, be aware. Art is more than visual. Next is gameplay design. Note I don't say puzzle design because this is not necessarily just all puzzles. There are ways to do things that engage. So, for instance, um, I have been a part of an ARG where I had to take a picture of myself with a fennel. Um, what's a fennel? I didn't know at the time. It's a kind of vegetable. Is it? Is it a vegetable? Is it an herb? I don't know. It's a root. You cut it up. Turns out you cut it up. You saute it with some chicken. It's very nice. Um, cooking tips in this class too. Um, but I had to take a picture of myself with fennel and send it in. So I went to the grocery store. I didn't know. Um, I looked. I found a fennel. I took a selfie with the fennel, sent it in. Didn't even have to buy the fennel, right? That's gameplay. That's interacting, right? Sure, there are puzzles, there's ciphers, there's and we'll talk more about how to make puzzles and stuff. Um, if you've worked on the escape room row, you know a little bit about puzzle making. So that's a plus. Um, but there's all sorts of things you can do for gameplay. Yes. And finally, tech. Um, tech doesn't just mean programming. In fact, you don't really uh, necessarily need a whole bunch of programming. You need people who can do web stuff, people who can set up a website, people who can set up means of communications um, between players and between players, and then between players and the team, um, whether that's um, online forums or some sort of proprietary chat area, um, making sure all that kind of networking works um, is is where tech people come in. Um, and even, in the past, tech people have been, um, cameramen, right? Or camera people, where I know everything there is to know about my DSLR, and we're going to make movies, and we're going to need a movie that looks like Night Vision, where we're running around trying to find a demon. Um, and so, I'm the person who helps do that, right? Who makes sure that that actually works. Um, Also, you might in the past, people have programmed entire games um, for the ARG, where essentially you have to play this. In the past, there have been Flash games, HTML games. There have been Android apps developed for ARGs. Um, there have been there was even one Windows Phone app developed for the ARG. Um, that uh um you needed. We've also had wrappers on existing stuff. So basically, instead of programming your own little app from scratch, you find an app that does what you need it to do, like um, some kind of RFID reader. An RFID is a radio frequency ID transmitter. Um, an RFID reader. There's a bazillion of them on the Android store, and lots of them allow you to add your own wrapper so that we have our own look to it, our own look and feel. And when you actually scan an RFID, it doesn't look like you're scanning an RFID. It looks like, you're getting a message from a distant galaxy, right? So lots of opportunity for tech people. Um, you notice I don't dictate exactly what you do. I just give examples of what people have done. I leave this up mostly to your creativity. And I talk about um, what's possible rather than what you must do. Okay. Those are the jobs that are available. Um, I keep forgetting you can't see my spreadsheet, but on Thursday I am going to and please pass this along. I think I'm going to post it in the Discord because our numbers have been dwindling, and if you're not here, um, I I'm gonna start throwing you into places. Um, but you can send me a message via Discord or email of I want to be the sidekick artist, right? Or even better, I want to be an artist. I don't care what I want to be. What character, I'll take any character. Um, and I will try to accommodate you if you can't be here on Thursday. So pass that along to anybody in class who isn't here, isn't showing up. I'm also a little worried that people aren't bothering to watch these things if they don't come. Um, so uh, because, and I wanted to get to this, and I have 8 minutes to talk about this. Varun and I have graded all the hero's journey stories. And there were some common problems. All in all, I don't know, a lot of B's, a lot of eights and nines. I didn't I didn't give a lot of um above 9. I maybe 9.5. Not sure. I spent an entire class basically talking about how a mentor needs to teach a skill that the hero then uses to overcome their ordeal, right? Um, and I got very few mentors who actually taught any skills. Um, Mostly they would say, "Oh, you have to go to the big city." That's that. Or they would give information, exposition about the background of the villain or the background of the problem, um, but they wouldn't teach a skill. They wouldn't say, uh, you need to let's actually there was one where the hero won through argument and rhetoric, um, which I thought was kind of cool, right? They didn't end by punching each other. They ended by arguing the merits, and the hero convinced the villain that his outlook was correct, and the villain changed their mind.
Can I
Um,
interject here as well?
yes, sure.
My 9.5 was this hero's journey with a slice of life.
Yeah,
So like it was like a story where it was kind of shown that everybody is kind of the hero in their own story. And like the goddess was an inanimate object. The hero's journey and call to arms was like a rat. So the hero was basically drunk off his ass and had a conversation with a rat, and that was the mentor as slash like sidekick thing. Um, but I also noticed that a lot of people put a lot of hats on a lot of other people's, like mentor slash goddess,
yeah. I
sidekick
got a lot
slash
of
mentor.
questions beforehand of like, can the mentor also be the goddess, right? Or can the sidekick also be the mentor, right? Um, and um, every time I answered yes, but that's always a flag, big red flag there. Yes, but it's very easy to run into problems with that because it makes it, number one, more difficult for me to identify that this is the mentor or this is the goddess if they are both. And number two, easy for you to make mistakes about what a mentor does or what a goddess does. Right. So you're right, Varun. There were a lot of kind of mushed together roles.
Yeah, and which is fine in general.
Yeah.
It's just that you need to understand that within 5 pages you need to give enough exposition for all roles,
Yeah.
which means that if you give a person two hats, you're gonna have to expose them twice, which is less pages and less amount of paragraphs and words for the other characters, which is
Yeah.
five.
Yeah.
Like even if you give multiple hats to one character, that doesn't reduce the amount of characters that you're actually portraying. It still remains five. So that's why it's generally preferred that you want to have like distinct roles.
Exactly. Exactly. So getting back to my hero solving the problem with rhetoric, the problem with that particular one was that the mentor didn't teach them methods of argument or negotiation or diplomacy. Um, in fact, nobody did. They just went in and argued. Um, so basically, if you have a training scene, right? Think Rocky, or think like last week on Falcon and Winter Soldier. We had a training scene where The Falcon is throwing the shield around and learning to catch it and flip. Kung Fu Panda, sure. Uh, these are all. There's a reason why when I say the training scene, you know what that is because it's the training sequence with Shifu. Yes, exactly. So, uh, and there's always a callback at the end. It's always, oh my god, the skill that I trained with is exactly the skill I need to to win the final battle, right? So, and it's kind of goofy. I remember um, Jurassic Park 2, right? Um, Jeff Goldblum returns to the island with, I believe, his daughter, right? And at the beginning of the movie, we see that the daughter is he picks her up at gymnastics, and she's great at the uneven parallel bars, right? And I'm like, yeah, we're gonna need that skill later. Um, and hilariously, there's a point in the movie where they have to get up this tower, and the tower is in ruins, but there are rebars sticking out from the walls, amazingly just like uneven parallel bars. And she goes flipping up the tower so that she can get people up there, bring the rope up there or whatever, I forget. But it's just so hilariously transparent sometimes. um that's not to say you should do that, I guess, but um once again, we're working within a template here, right? The other thing I saw a lot, well, not a lot, but more than I'd like, is a kind of a weak motivation entirely for the hero, where uh, the hero is just kind of, oh, I think I'll go over here. Oh, now there are problems here. Um, well, okay, I'll deal with these problems instead of, and I think there was at least two of them where I couldn't even name what the call to adventure was. What the, hey, hero, we need your help. Come with us and I'll show you where the barn is burning or whatever. It was just the hero wanders around, and in one I was like, is the hero, like, is their purpose, their what they're trying to do is just get home? Because that's we've got whole myths of Ulysses. His entire journey is trying to get home after the Trojan War, and that's perfectly fine. But uh it's never articulated. It's kind of mushy. um they're trying to get home because it's getting dark, which, okay, but um it's not really a great motivation. You want to kind of up the ante, raise the stakes as much as you can. On the other hand, I kind of like um the I have to save my pig, kind of low stakes for the grand scheme of things, but high stakes for the character. A good example of a CTA is when I think Frodo or Merry says that the Shire will also be consumed by the Dark Lord, and that's why it was important that everyone fought and not buried their heads in the sand. Exactly. Which brings us to the goddess. Varun, you said you had lots of kind of
Yeah.
wishy-washy goddesses.
I mean, wishy-washy, no, but
No.
more like in the sense like the goddess is a very complex character in any story. if not the most complex character, just because the goddess also has two different archetypes, right? You have the goddess as a temptress, you have the goddess as the savior kind of thing. So, like for example, Galadriel versus Dark Galadriel,
Yeah.
where Galadriel resisted the test of the ring. You have, I forget, they had another example prepared in my head, but I forgot. But basically, oh yeah, Gollum to Sam. Gollum is technically Sam's goddess just because they're the polar opposites to each other. So the goddess is supposed to complete your main hero or your sub main heroes or whatever. And what I found was that most people either took how the book describes the goddess as like, the feminine aspect of the things. Most
Yeah.
people assume that the goddess was supposed to be a woman, which is actually totally not true. The second was that the goddess is supposed to be kind and stuff, which they showed through words, but the goddess is not supposed to be kind. The goddess is supposed to show the hero that good times will come. The goddess is supposed to inspire hope and rally courage, right? It's this kind of
Right.
motivating rock that the hero, the anchor to everything. So
Right.
I'm sure that many
Remind
of you,
them why they
yeah,
started the journey when they've forgotten.
exactly. So many of you have, I'm pretty sure, read the Percy Jackson books here, or at least heard of it. But the main hero, Percy, Annabeth is his goddess, especially when he drives in the Styx. And Annabeth is his anchor to remind him that he can always go back to her when everything is over. That's something that the goddess is. And all I found were goddesses as mentors, goddesses as kind people, a goddess just because they were women. That
Yeah.
was a bit weird.
Yeah. Uh, so, uh, and I spent a lot of time on mentors and goddesses while I was going through the hero's journey because this is not unusual. This I told you up front that this is where these stories usually screw up. Um, and to be particularly aware of these things, right? I think I even wrote it in the assignment. So check out the comments. I made kind of like I can highlight a sentence and then type a comment in Canvas. And I'm not sure how you see those. So I made a note in the like side note thing that says you might have to click on things to see my comments. Not sure how it works for students. But don't just look at what I said on the side because that's if I said anything, it was an end of paper summing up. Whereas I would make comments as I was going through. And mostly what I was doing is listing, okay, here's Ordinary World. I'd highlight a thing that says it was another day like any other. And I'd highlight that, say Ordinary World. So that after I finished reading, I could go back and go, okay, you got Ordinary World, you got this, you got this, you got this. Okay, you got your 6. Life is good. And interesting that you flipped these two beats. Um, but I also react as I'm reading, and I put little comments in, as though I had the paper in front of me and a pen, and I could write in your margins. That's the point. So uh, uh, Varun did 1 through 6. I did 8 through 13 or whatever it is. For some reason, there's no number 7. So if you're number 7, uh, that's scary because we didn't see it.
Okay, hold on. Dean, because there's only like a couple of minutes left, just
Yeah.
before you leave. You all did a good job, by the way.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
The term is stressful, and it feels like we are just criticizing, and I don't want like people to be like, oh no, I'm crap at storytelling.
Well, I
You're good
mean,
at
geez
storytelling.
Louise, nobody got much less than a B, right?
Yeah, exactly. So you're
So
all good. It's
it's
just that you
fine.
can be better here,
Yeah.
and there's real potential in what everybody wrote.
Yeah. Sorry if that doesn't come through. And we are 8 minutes over. So I'm going to stop recording and let you get on with your day because in 2 minutes I got another one of these to do. So I will see you on Thursday.